Well, Miss Nancy and I, freshly married, took a trip to her home state of West Virginia. And this is Granny Amy. That's her grandmother on her dad's side. They lived in Lorona, West Virginia, a small little town next to Pipestone State Park, which is up the mountain just north of Lorona. Her grandmother lived on a dirt road just off the highway. That's her Uncle Buck by marriage. She's married to... this is Uncle Buck. Uncle Buck is married to Mabel, Nancy's aunt, and her dad's sister. Her dad's name is Frank, and but this is where they was raised. This is this is Patty right there. She lives in town of so it's another little town just south of Lorona, but she lives about 10 miles from Lorona in a nice little town. Patty was a nice lady, and still is. She's still young. She's younger. This is Mabel. That's her mom. And Mabel was a pistol. She was she's one of my favorite people. Now, this guy wanted to get her up on his horse, and he tried to help her, and she couldn't get on. I went over and put my hands down. Every time I raised her leg up, her leg would just give way. So he finally just picked her up by her body and set her on top of that horse. And of course, she couldn't get up there anyway, so he just set her up there. And so Mabel was special. She was a neat lady. She had, I'm trying to think, she had 6 kids. That's Granny Amy again. And Amy had 5 children. Had Frank, Nancy's dad, Wallace, Bernice, Mabel. I guess they only had 4. I didn't leave anybody out, I don't think. That's Betty. That's Bernice's wife and Nancy's aunt by marriage. Bernice was Nancy's uncle, and she married Bernice. That's Amy. So, okay, the story is that the first day we spent there, we came out on the balcony of the A-frame, and there come Aunt Amy coming down the dirt road. And so Nancy told me, says, there comes Aunt Amy. So I'll go down and meet her. So I did. So I walked up to her on the road before she got down to Bernice's house. And I said, ma'am, my name's Bob Stockton. And I bought this road. And you have to have a permit to walk on it. Well, Granny Amy told me some things I didn't want to hear. I mean, she put her hands on her hips and she told me everything that I couldn't repeat. But it ended up that Amy and I became very, very, very good friends. And it took her a little bit to get to know me. That's her Wallace, her Uncle Wallace. That's her dad's brother. And that's Wallace's wife. He had a serious look on his face, didn't he? She was a very, very short lady. Betty was really a good lady. She lived in Cleveland, real near Cleveland, Ohio, when she passed away later on. And Nancy, I got to go visit with her about a couple of years ago, and she passed away since then. So this right now is 2024, and so she died, I think, earlier in 2018. maybe early in 24. She hadn't been dead very long. But while I was there, I did some repair work on Grand Amy's doors and her floor, and like I said, we became good friends. Now, the interesting part about this part of the country is that every family has their own cemetery. The Neely Cemetery and the Nancy is a Neely, and the Keaton Cemetery, which is her mother's side of the family. And they're about 4 or 5 miles apart. And when people die, whether it's in Cleveland or Chicago or wherever they were, they would bring them back to the Keaton or the Neely Cemetery to bury them. And so her dad's there, her Bernice is there, her grandpa's there. Every time we go by and decorate the graves. And she can tell me all about her great-grandpas, her grandpas, because all the family is buried in one of those two graves, whether it's a Neely or a Keaton. This lady right here and Nancy's mother were cousins, and she lived in right down the road from Mabel. She was a very, very nice lady. She looked awfully like Nancy's mother, which is named Mary Kate. But Mary Kate came to Oklahoma City a number of years ago to be near Nancy when she first came down here in the late 60s. Now, that's my Uncle Bernice, or her Uncle Bernice, and he was driving a grader. It was his job. And it was kind of interesting because we stopped on the way out of town and we went to talk to him and said, Bernice, it's 5:30. What are you still working out here? He said, 5:30? I said, I get off at 5 o'clock. He says, but I stopped, my watch has stopped. And so he turned his machine off and went back home. And he was really a nice guy. He loved Nancy. He just thought the world of her. And he was married to Betty, and Betty is the one that died maybe last year. Bernice died a long time before that. He had cancer and just didn't make it. But that's what he did in the military. He was in 2 sections of the armed forces, and they built roads in the military. Welcome to Virginia. That's where we're in Tennessee. Going out of West Virginia, you go through parts of Virginia, and just a tip of it, and then into Tennessee. And then you hit I-40 all the way back toward Oklahoma City. And there's Bob Stockton with his video camera. He's black-headed, and it's not dyed. And Nancy was black-headed, and hers wasn't dyed either. Nancy was always a great traveling partner. I loved to travel with her. I loved her very much. And there she is, skinny dipping. She was a very pretty lady. Still is a pretty lady. It hasn't changed. And that reminds me of my wedding night. She would sleep on me. She said, Bob, would you go get me a Coke and down the hall and some ice? And I said, yeah. Time I got back, she was out. Got married on April Fool's Day. So that's my greeting. I loved her very much. I still love her very much. As of today, I will be married 53 years come April the 1st. But we're on the way back to Oklahoma. It's been a good trip meeting her family, where she's from, and it was an exciting experience. I've been back many times since. I've made a lot of friends with her old schoolmates. We went to all of our school reunions, and made good friends with in Charleston with a lot of her friends, and I still communicate with them. Go see Red Jones when I'm up there. Cowboy Hall of Fame. That must be we're pretty close to home. Yippee. We're at the house that's Edgewater Drive. That's a house we bought right after we got married. And it's a very, 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 very nice house. Nancy is always a worker. She is always taking care of things. And I worked a lot too in that yard. I had a nice yard. She squirt water on me twice. There's Miss Beth. And what has she got? Zoom in a little bit and see what she has. It looks like a duck. There's Mary Kate. That's Nancy's mother, Mary Kate Neely. She was a Keaton before, and then she became a Neely when she married Frank. And there's Mary Kate. She was a school teacher. And then she ended her career up working for the State House and working in helping people, older people. She was a good lady, good Christian lady.